Good morning, students. Hope you're all doing well. In the last class, we studied about the coins and kings. Now, let us focus on the next topic, which is how are inscriptions deciphered? Inscriptions are messages that are engraved either on rock or stone, or it could be even engraved on any other material. These inscriptions provide us with an insight into the lives of those who commissioned them. They were usually the kings, but they could be other people too, like merchants or traders belonging to a guild. Okay, now before deciphering the inscription, the first thing that needs to be done is that the script in which that inscription is written, it needs to be deciphered. So सबसे पहला काम क्या है? To decipher the script. So the earliest inscription found in the Indian subcontinent was those which were issued by the Mauryan king Ashok. He ensured that these inscriptions are spread throughout his empire. So the language in which these inscription was written was Prakrit, which was the official language of the Mauryan court. That means this is the language which was utilized for all the official purposes. But the scripts used for writing this Prakrit language during the Mauryan times were two. One was Brahmi, which was widely used in Central India, East India, and North India. Okay. The other one was Kharoshti, which was used in the northwestern part of India. Okay. That is beyond the Indus River and its valleys, including the region of Takshala and other, extending till Iran. Now let us look into how Brahmi was deciphered. Okay, there's a very important line given in your book. Most scripts used to write modern Indian languages are derived from Brahmi, which is the script used in Ashokan inscription. So you can treat it as the mother of all the future scripts, okay, that were used in India. Now do consider the fact that there was a lot of interest generated to understand the Indian history among the European scholars. There were even societies established to do so, such as Asiatic Society of Bengal and many others, whose main agenda was to understand Indian history so that not only for academic purpose but also so that they could facilitate the colonial government in understanding India better. So till then a lot of text had been translated in the 18th century. Okay, a lot of texts such as Manusmriti or Bhagavad Gita all had been translated. Now in the 19th century, that is from 1800s, a lot of emphasis was being laid on trying to decipher what is written on the inscriptions that were found throughout the Indian subcontinent at particular places. So these European scholars, they worked hand in hand with Indian Pandits who were well versed in Bengali, Devanagari script, and Sanskrit. So both of them together, they retraced their steps. Okay, so modern day Bengali say they tried working comparing these scripts with old manuscripts. So they were moving from the familiar territory of modern scripts to the unfamiliar territory of ancient scripts. Remember, historians always use this technique, that is, they try to draw a parallel, they try to compare the familiar with unfamiliar. So this is what they even tried with respect to trying to decipher Brahmi scripts. So first there was a confusion that this script was written in Sanskrit language, some form of early Sanskrit, just as even Vedas were written in Vedic Sanskrit, which is very different from our modern day Sanskrit. Same way, they thought that these inscriptions were written in a different or a variant of Sanskrit, but it was later on realized that it was in fact a very different language called Prakrit, which was prevalent during the Mahajanpad era and the Mauryan dynasty. So it was only after decades of these scholars working together and retracing their steps backwards that finally James Princip, with other scholars, was able to decipher Ashokan Brahmi in 1838. In deciphering Kharoshthi, again, major work was done by James Princip. Who was James Princip? If you remember clearly, he was an officer working in the Mint of English East India Company. He was a numismatist. So it is this interest in coins which led him to discover the Kharoshthi script, which was widely used in Ashokan inscriptions of the northwest. In doing so, he was aided by the coins found in the regions which was ruled by the Indo-Greek kings. Okay, so these Indo-Greek kings, whether it was Apollodotus or Menander, they issued coins which were bilingual. तो एक साइड में Greek script was used, on the other side Kharoshthi script was used. So in this way, by studying each and every coin issued by the Indo-Greek kings, they managed to find a letter or an alphabet corresponding to a Greek alphabet corresponding to a Kharoshthi alphabet. ठीक है? Thus, the Kharoshthi script was finally discovered. So what are the tasks in front of epigraphists, that is those who study inscriptions, and historians while dealing with inscriptions? Now the first task we have already elaborated on, that they need to decipher the script in which the inscription was written. Second thing, okay, once you have deciphered the script, once you can read what is given in the inscription, you need to make some conclusive sense out of it. Okay, so then we look into one by one what are the tasks in front of them. The first thing is the task of comparing inscriptions. Okay, now it is by comparing inscriptions that these epigraphists will arrive at a conclusion. For example, just look into the source 10 of your NCRT. This source talks about the inscription which was issued by Devnampiya Piyadasi. Okay, so in this inscription there is no name written. Okay, the name of the king who issued this inscription is not specified. But what is specified instead? The title he used. So how do we know which king issued this inscription? It is by examining all inscriptions that epigraphists see that there are other inscriptions which have names of the ruler given in it along with the title. So some other inscription mention the title, that is Devnam Piyadasi, as well as the king, that is Ashok, who issued this inscription. So ये भी तो हो सकता है कि ये दो title might be used by two different kings, because obviously in the large historical context a lot of titles have been used repeatedly. But how do historians conclude that all these inscriptions are issued by the same king? They try and read the context, the content which is written in the inscription, the language and the script used in the inscription, the style of writing. Okay, and finally paleography, which is the study of ancient writing. Okay, they are not, so it is through these ways that an epigraphist can conclude that all these inscriptions were issued by the same king. Now, if you read the source properly, the source 10, it is also mentioned that how the king is giving a record that he is easily accessible whenever he needs to informed about the affairs of the people. So all these claims stating that Ashok was the first king to do so is debatable. So the second task in front of an epigraphist is to separate the facts from fiction. ठीक है, तो उसको देखना रहता है कि whatever the claim that has been made by the king in the inscription, whether it is true or it's a possible exaggeration. So the epigraphists are assessing the accuracy, the factual accuracy of the inscription. The last point, I might have already mentioned it before, but since these inscriptions might sometime not have a complete sense, they might not make a complete sense, epigraphists have to add words, okay? Add words while reading the inscriptions in such a way that whatever was the original intent of the inscriptions or the content, it does not change. The meaning of that original context does not change. But it is easier for other people to understand this inscription. Okay, so these are the tasks in front of the epigraphists. First one is deciphering the script. Second one is comparing the different inscriptions and arriving at a conclusion. Third is checking into the claims made in the inscription. And finally, add words while deciphering the inscription so that its meaning does not change, but the reader who is reading it might be facilitated.